Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour two, final hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. I'll get you updated in 15 minutes on the signings from the Major League Baseball draft. You know where everybody was selected or wasn't selected. There have been some LSU-related signatures in the last 24 hours that we'll get to here in 15 minutes. I told you earlier that the SEC announced its media poll and went through and gave a projected order of finish. Texas was first. Georgia was second. That was very, very close. Alabama came in third. LSU was fourth. And then there is a separation. And South Carolina comes in at fifth. Florida comes in at sixth. I'm going to give you my projected order of finish here in a second, but that's something you heard me say if you were listening over the course of the week. Florida, I think, is going to be better. Ole Miss in, I guess that's 7th. A&M 8th, Tennessee 9th, Oklahoma 10th. It surprised me Oklahoma's not higher because a lot of people were pumping them up over the week in Atlanta. Then comes Auburn. Missouri is just ahead of Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. So, and I think that there's a consensus top four and a consensus bottom four. Everybody's got Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU at the top. Everybody has got Mississippi State, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt at the bottom. And then you've got this big blob in the middle that's just impossible to decipher at this point. And so I'm going to give you my projected order of finish and give you kind of a thumbnail on why. You heard a little bit of this throughout the week as I went through every team that came through. But I want to be clear. Projected order of finish is not the same as power rankings. When I do power rankings for all three sports, I'm telling you who I think's better. Who I think is a better team, top to bottom. This is projected order of finish. This bakes schedule in. So it's different. It's impossible in July. It's also different. So I realize full well that there's a lot I don't know about these football teams. And there's a lot I don't know about their opponents. Like this time last year, not that it matters in projected order of finish in SEC play, but like what were we thinking about Florida's chances last year to go beat Florida State? Florida State coming off that phenomenal year where they go undefeated and Travis gets hurt and they get left out of the playoff and they're coming back, but Norvell's got that program going in the right direction, and then they face plant. Nobody thought that Florida was going to beat Florida State last year. Yeah, they did beat them easily because Florida State was terrible last year. We didn't know that in July. So I'm just giving you my thoughts. They're based in some research. They're based in some reason. And I'll give you my projected order of finish here in the SEC. Chuck Oliver convinced me yesterday when we sat down about Georgia. He said, last year they didn't really know what they were doing with Carson Beck, and their wide receivers were atrocious, and they were trying to replace all those guys off that defense, and the defense didn't look quite as dominant. And, oh, by the way, they had to go to Tuscaloosa, and they had to go to Oxford, and they had to go to Austin. They had all... And they won the league. They won the league. And that's a strong argument. That's a strong case. Because they've recruited incredibly well. Kirby's a brilliant coach. And I trust there's a lot of quarterbacks at SEC Media Days. And we talked to a lot of them over the course of 4 days. And I listened to a lot of them, various podcasts, watching TV. And the quarterbacks like Gunnar Stockton. The guys that sit there and watch the tape and have seen limited amounts of Gunnar Stockton, like they like what they see. So I'm not going to buck the trend. I'm not going to try to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to take the most established current program in the league that's the defending champion, that everybody likes their quarterback. I'll take Georgia at number 1. I am going to take Texas at number 2, and the reason I'm doing that is because of the talent factor. Like, I just think they've got so many good players that they have recruited. They have embraced this NIL thing. They've gotten as flashy as possible with all the Lamborghinis, and they've become a cool program. They've been good 2 years in a row. I think Arch is going to be fine, and I've got him at number 2. This is where it gets interesting, and I put LSU at 3. I think LSU's overall team talent is a notch below Georgia and Texas. I think that Garrett Nussmeier is a really good player, and I think that they're going to be better on defense. Plus, I like the schedule. It's difficult, but in the league, I like it. You do have to go to Tuscaloosa. You do have to go to Oxford. That's tough. But Florida comes to you, and A&M comes to you. One of your road games is Vanderbilt, which is always a big deal to me. Sorry, Alabama last year. At Vanderbilt is a big deal. South Carolina's got to come to you. You got Arkansas. I like the schedule for LSU, so I like LSU third. I do like Bama fourth. I'm not going to break away from the consensus top four. I've got those top four in my top four. Georgia, Texas, LSU, and Bama, top four. The Ty Simpson questioning was loud in Atlanta. It was very loud. In fact, yesterday, Chuck Oliver told me he thinks Keelan Russell's going to take over, the freshman 5-star. He thinks that's going to be their quarterback eventually. When you're unsettled like that at quarterback, like that's a problem. So I got Bama at 4. Now, keep in mind, and we talked about this team yesterday. So if you were listening yesterday, you're catching a rerun here. This is projected order of finish, not talent. Missouri. I've got them 5th. The SEC media had them 5th to last. I've got them 5th total. And that's because I'm looking at a schedule that includes South Carolina at home, Alabama at home, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt, A&M at home, Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. They don't play Texas. They don't play Tennessee. They don't play Georgia. They don't play LSU. I think I said Ole Miss. They don't play them. Like it's just very manageable. And they've won 21 games the last 2 years. 9 and 10. Or 10 and 11. Sorry, 10 and 11. Like they win a lot. So I got them at number 5. I got South Carolina at 6. A lot of people think they're going to take a step back. The SEC media did not as a whole. They've got them at number 5, right behind LSU. I've got them at 6. I've got Ole Miss at 7. That's right in line with where the media had them at 8. I think that Ole Miss will score points. I don't think their defense is going to be nearly as good. When you're replacing a lot of NFL guys and you're telling me that Deshaun Womack and Sage Ryan are surefire starters there, I'm not sure that's a great recipe. So I've got Ole Miss at 7. I like Florida more than a lot of people. Now, Florida was picked number 6 by the media, so as a whole, but a lot of people don't like them. I do. Schedule's hard. That's why I don't have. I think Florida's better than Missouri, but their schedule's harder. So that's why I put Florida at number 8. That game in Baton Rouge in week 3 is just going to be massive. I got Oklahoma 9th. That's about where they were in this preseason poll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They got them at 10th. I've got them at 9th. Mateer has got to be a difference maker for them, no question about it. I've got A&M 10th. They've got to be physical. They've got to run the ball, and they've got to be a little bit better on defense. I think all 3 of those are going to be strengths. Marcel Reed is fine. He's a fine player. I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. I don't think he makes them a threat to win the league. I think they're going to win 8 games. I said that when they came through yesterday. I think they're an 8-win team, so I've got them at number 10. Auburn, right where the media has them at number 11. That's exactly the same as me. Tennessee at 12. Chris Marler, our social media director, has got some reels with questions for the various media members there that are going up on our 104.5 ESPN socials. And he asks who's the most disappointing. There's a lot of Tennessee. I was in that number. I said Tennessee. I don't think they're going to be a great team this year. I think that they've lost a lot from that running game. I don't like where they're at quarterback. And that defense is going to be good, but it's going to have to be better than it was last year because I think their offense from last year is going to be better than their offense this year. I don't buy that. I got Tennessee down at number 12 at this point. And then that's when you get to the teams that are at the bottom of the league. I put Vanderbilt at the top of that group at number 13. And then I got Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. In that order, 13 through 16 is exactly the way the rest of the media sees it. Just talking to Brian Haydad from Super Talk Mississippi, we had him on the show talking about Mississippi State and where he thought they were. They just have no Jimmies and Joes. None. Their defense last year was just historically atrocious. And it has to be better, but how much better? And then are you going to score? Like, I don't know. And oh, by the way, they are not going to win a home game. Like, they're not going to win a league home game. And when you take winning at home off the board, that's when you got to be picked last. Because you tell me what home conference game you think they're going to win. Tennessee, Probably not. Texas? Nope. Georgia? Nope. Ole Miss? Probably not. So if you can't win at home, well, how am I supposed to pick you to win a game? Their best shot's to go to Arkansas and win. They could, but I don't love it. I got them last. Kentucky appears the entire momentum has swung out of that program. They had a really nice 4 or 5 year run with Stoops there. Probably honestly culminated with them kicking the crap out of LSU. It's probably when in 21, that game where they just dominated LSU, that was probably the pinnacle of what Stoops was able to accomplish at Kentucky. Everybody kind of feels like it's the beginning of the end there. I've got them down there at the bottom. Hogs, not looking great. John Neighbors was on Matt's show yesterday. He covers Arkansas, said he cannot recall a less anticipated football season than this one. You've got basically a lame duck coach. It's ugly in Fayetteville. And then Vanderbilt is not last. Not last is what you could say for Vanderbilt. And I got asked a couple times up there in Atlanta, like, hey, you got to go to Vanderbilt? Like, I'm not worried about that at all. LSU will win that game by 2 scores. Vanderbilt's not good. Nice effort against Bama last year. Yeah, played Texas scrappy, and Clark Lee doing a great job, whatever. You don't have great players. Pavia is kind of one-dimensional. They came here to Baton Rouge, and they weren't moving the ball at all. Like, I don't think they're good. So it's a great story based on what their general baseline is. But a threat to win 4 league games? No, they're not. So there it is, my projected order of finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Bama. 5, 6, 7, Missouri, South Carolina, and Ole Miss. Florida is 8th, Oklahoma 9th, Texas A&M 10th, Auburn 11th, 12th is Tennessee. Then I've got 13 Vandy, 14 Arkansas, 15 Kentucky, and in the 16th spot, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. There you have it. Flame away. We'll get to power rankings right before the season starts. That'll look different than that. Missouri will be bumped down. Florida will be bumped up. And I would imagine that Ole Miss probably bumps up a little bit as well. But that remains to be seen. We'll see how things shake out over the next few weeks. But that's my thought on the SEC predicted order of finish. We'll talk some baseball. Who has signed big money contracts that won't be playing in Baton Rouge next year, and who's still holding out hope? We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I got 4 kiddos in my house this weekend. Got some help as my wife flies out to L.A., but there's going to be a lot of bath action going on with 4 under 6 in my house. If that's not the case in your house and you don't ever use your bathtub and it's old or dingy or dysfunctional, or you just would like a cleaner, nicer, better shower, take the tub out, put a shower in. It's called a tub to shower conversion, and David Vaughn and One Bath and Closets do it all the time. When you go in your bathroom this evening, just take a look at that tub and see if that's what you want your bathroom to look like. And then go to the website, onebathandclosets.com, and look at some of the pictures of David's awesome work and see what your bathroom could look like if you did so. If you're thinking, paying for it, maybe not the best time, financing's available. 0% up to 18 months, same as cash. Get the free consultation. That part doesn't cost you anything. Let David, who's been doing this for 3 decades, customize your bathroom exactly the way you'd like it to look. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, let's talk a little baseball here. Some signings that have happened. First, awesome news that Luis Hernandez did sign an undrafted contract with the Minnesota Twins, so he will have a place to go play. I was bummed out. I said this on my show on Tuesday. I was bummed out that Luis didn't get drafted. Was really hoping that with no college eligibility left, that he would find a home. It's such a great year for LSU, doing something that I'm not certain he knew he was signing up for. It may be so. I would have to ask him, but he was certainly brought to LSU to help swing the bat and hit for some power. And you knew with White moving on, with Jared Jones in limbo with that draft, as he was draft eligible sophomore, like you needed to find some pop somewhere. And Luis Hernandez hit a bunch of home runs at Indiana State. And so they brought him in, and they knew that he could catch, and they knew he could play first, and they knew he could DH, and then Jones comes back. So you're like, okay, well, just jump in that catcher's competition. Let's see what happens. And he shined. And trust me, there were some rough spots defensively in the fall. I was sitting there one day, like counting balls went to the backstop. I was like, this is not good. I talked about it. And Jay Johnson said in the fall, like, I want those guys to hit. That's great. But the person that catches the best, that plays defense, that receives, handles the baseball, handles the staff, that's the catcher. And Luis won that job. And by the end of the season, you didn't really have any defensive catching issues. You did early, just a little bit, but none late. And he deserves a ton of credit for that. No, he didn't hit 23 home runs, but he hit some huge ones in the regional and just did a phenomenal job. And I was hoping that he would get a chance now that his collegiate career is over to play professionally. Didn't get drafted, but he does get signed by the Twins, so he'll have an opportunity to go continue to play a little bit of baseball. As far as the guys that did get drafted, Chase Shores went in the second round. He signed for full slot, $2.07 million for Chase Shores with the Angels. He'll get to work, and I'm assuming he's going to be a pretty fast riser for the Angels in that system with his stuff and that profile and 101 with the sinker and the hard slider. And if he can throw strikes like he did late in the season, heck yeah. It's a guy that, look, yes, there is $4 million available in the first round if you come back and absolutely light it up. But that's not a guarantee. And for a guy who's already gone through an injury, that's got 2 national championships in his back pocket, they can give you $2 million to go. Time to go. And then that's what I thought was going to happen all along. Now, if you want to see one of the interesting of how the draft works, the Braves saved some money early on in their draft. They took some high school players that have low numbers, and they scrounged up some extra cash. And the arm in the signing class that I told you, this is not a done deal he's going, but it's going to be tough, was Briggs McKenzie. And Briggs McKenzie, left-handed pitcher from the East Coast, North Carolina, he goes in the 4th round. And if you're thinking, well, 4th round, that's 2 rounds behind Shores, who got $2 million. Like, what is he signing for? Like $1 million? Then you got agents' fees, you got taxes, and all of a sudden, like, that's not. He could make some money at LSU, and he could turn that into $3, $4, $5 million if he is great at LSU. And all that's true. That's the pitch. You hope to tell that. But when you're the Braves and you save some money early in the draft, you can turn around in the 4th round and sign Briggs McKenzie for $5.88 million. And you can go north of his slot by 2.4. Sorry, I gave you that wrong. The slot for McKenzie in the 4th round was $588,000, not $5.8 million. $588,000 was the slot, but he got 2.9, which is $1 million more than Shores got because the Braves saved some money and had it left over to give to McKenzie. He signed for $2.4 million over his slot value. And that's how the draft works sometimes. And that's why you're not out of the woods just because the 2nd round comes and goes and those high-end guys haven't been picked. Because if a team decides they're going to take a little bit of a bargain in the 1st or 2nd where they have a bigger slot and they can get more left over, they can go to Briggs McKenzie and say, yeah, I know your slot's $588K here, and you probably won't take $588K. And Briggs McKenzie, I don't know him, but I did some talking, and Briggs McKenzie wasn't going anywhere for $588,000. That wasn't going to get it. And that's what you see in the 4th round. But you have an extra $2.4 million lying around all of a sudden. That sweetens the pot where the 18-year-old looks at that and goes, okay, $2.997 million bucks. I'll go to the minor leagues. And that's essentially what happened here. The one name that is in limbo, I would say, at this point, and that I've actually been asked about a couple times, is River Hamilton. River Hamilton, big, physical, right-handed pitcher. He's from Oregon, was committed to Oregon State, and LSU got his commitment late. It was a flip, and he did not go in the top 10 rounds. So he goes into the 11th, and he's taken number 339 overall. And the way that pick works is they can give him up to $150,000 plus whatever they have left over from their top 10 round pool. And my contention, I don't know this. My contention is that River Hamilton will sign. If you go back and listen to the segment I did on the high schoolers and you go back and read it on LouisianaSports.net, either way you can do that. I've essentially batted 1,000. Hamilton's the only one that is up in the air. And I said that Hamilton was a likely professional sign. And I still feel that way. I think that he probably talked to the Tigers at that point and talked to them about numbers and what it might take. And the Tigers had a plan in their first 10 rounds. There's some guys at the top of their draft who they're going to be able to take a haircut on. And I think they'll be able to scrounge up the money to get Hamilton to sign. My feeling was, based on some conversations pre-draft, that the scouts liked Hamilton, that he was okay with the idea of going professionally immediately. But the dollars do have to make sense, and that'll be up to the Tigers to make that happen with him. Everybody else is pretty much an open and shut case for this baseball team. So you look at the portal ads, you look at the high school signing class, minus Hamilton, minus the guys that went in the first 10 rounds, and at that point, you kind of know what this LSU roster is going to look like when they start school here in a few weeks. And they'll start working out in September, and they'll start playing some games in October. And then we'll be right back where we started in January before you know it. And it's going to be another very, very, very good team. I was thrilled with the portal additions that LSU made while we were in Atlanta. There were 3 of them. If you want to know more about those transfers and you missed me talking about them on the show earlier this week and haven't seen the stories on LouisianaSports.net, there are 2 up right now called Portal Profile. And I profiled all the pitchers and all the hitters separate, like all the pitchers in one piece, all the hitters in another piece. So if you'd like to go check that out, you can at LouisianaSports.net. It's free. I've got some video in there from Twitter embedded of some of their swings, some of the guys' stuff on the mound. So if you'd just like to familiarize yourself with some of these portal guys that are going to be, I think, big keys to LSU's team next year, check that out over at LouisianaSports.net. I don't think you're going to see River Hamilton make it to campus. We'll see, though. Have 2 weeks to sign, so we'll see how that all shakes out over the next few days. All right, chugging along here Friday. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you're looking for a po' boy, Corks is an awesome spot. Big jumbo Gulf shrimp on that po' boy, fully dressed, crunchy, delicious. Awesome time to get a po' boy. If you're looking for a delicious baked potato with the crawfish etouffee and the jumbo Gulf shrimp over the top of it, they can do that for you too. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. The menu's online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Catering is something they love to do. So if you've got big crew you like to feed, tell the folks at Corks. They can make that happen for you. corksfishandshrimp.com. Step aside. 30 minutes to go on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. When I say Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think that luxury brand of vehicle. But when I say luxury brand of vehicle, don't think, I can't afford that. Don't price yourself out. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price. That's what Genesis is there to do. From the sedan all the way up to the SUV, every single model in the Genesis line got a IHA top safety pick, all of them. So no matter what vehicle you get in, you'll know it's one of the safest on the road. Go by and see them. Airline at PQ, across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Just a quick scoreboard update from Royal Portrush. I don't have anything to add to the context of the scores, but Scotty Scheffler made a heck of a run today at the Open Championship. He will be in the final group tomorrow. He leads after 64 today, 10 under. Matt Fitzpatrick, U.S. Open champion, at 9 under. Brian Harmon, a former Open champion, is at 8 under. Haotong Lee shot 67 again today. He is 8 under. Chris Gotterup, who won the Scottish Open last weekend, is at 5 with Robert McIntyre and Rasmus Højgaard, as well as Tyrrell Hatton, Harris English, Tony Finau right there in contention as well. Rory McIlroy and Sam Burns, both 3 under, tied for 12th. That is 7 shots back of Scotty Scheffler. 7 shots back of Scotty Scheffler. Not a super fun place to be because he generally doesn't come back all that quickly. So Scotty Scheffler in control of that golf tournament right now. We'll see how things shake out tomorrow from Northern Ireland. I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the players on the all-conference teams. I talked about the order of finish. I gave my order of finish, and I'll let Preston talk about it in the first hour a little bit. But I wanted to give some thoughts. I know that it based on Twitter, which we'll see what happens in 28 minutes, but based on Twitter, Matt is not thrilled that Lenora Sellers was given the first team nod over Garrett Nussmeier. I think Matt is well aware that it's not that big a deal, and I don't think he'll say it's a big deal, but I do think that he feels passionately that Garrett Nussmeier is a better quarterback than Lenora Sellers, and that's just a subjective thing. They'll play it out, and they'll go, and I'll certainly let Matt do his show and talk about what he wants to. I'll address it as well here. I think there are a lot of people who watched Garrett Nussmeier melt down in the second half at College Station. I think there are a lot of people that watched Garrett Nussmeier play very poorly against Alabama. I think there are a lot of people that watched Garrett Nussmeier go on the road in the swamp and get out-dueled by DJ Lagway. Now, Garrett's running game was atrocious, and the LSU's defense was not good. It was bad most of the year, and I think Garrett's a heck of a player. But you can't take those away. And I think that Lenora Sellers late in the season put on a Superman cape against Clemson. Like, if Garrett Nussmeier plays the Texas A&M game in week 1, his first start, and plays the Ole Miss game, and where else was he really good? He was really good at Arkansas when they ran the ball pretty well. If he plays those 2 games at the end and plays the Ole Miss game last, like Lenora Sellers played Clemson last, and that's the memory people have of, oh, Nussmeier's kind of progressed to that, where he's making those throws in that moment. Or if he plays just the first half of A&M like he played the second half, and the second half like he played the first half, and LSU comes back to win because he was throwing dimes all over the field against a decent A&M defense, it may look better. But the way the season played out, I think as the games got more viewed, more eyeballs, there were turnovers. And that's what I think people are looking at. Sellers is an interesting case, and I talked about this earlier this week, because he is not winning from the pocket a lot. Maybe you don't have to. But I'm struggling to find the first team All-SEC quarterback in my mind that was just all over the place all the time. And you probably have to go to Manziel, and that was 13 years ago. Like, Jaden won from the pocket, like dotting it up from the pocket. If he had to get out, he did. But if he didn't have to, he didn't, and he lit it up. Sellers is playing like junkyard football, and it was great. But we'll see if he can win more from the pocket, where we know Nussmeier can thrive. Now, Garrett's got to run it a little bit more. He's got to make better decisions. But I think that he can. And if you told me I could have either Lenora Sellers or Garrett Nussmeier entering this season, I would take Garrett Nussmeier. But, again, I'm an LSU guy here in Baton Rouge. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over Lenora Sellers being the number 1 first-team offense quarterback on the SEC play. But that is, I believe, the reason that happened. As far as the other LSU guys, Caden Durham and Aaron Anderson made the second team with Garrett Nussmeier. I thought that was really cool. Caden was hurt in the middle of last year, showed some home run hitting ability, which was awesome. And I think it's going to be really good this year, assuming the offensive line is functional. And Aaron Anderson, man, I could not have been more wrong about him in August of last year, because he got hurt in Alabama as a freshman, and he didn't really play, and he came to LSU in that first year. Like, I watched him in camp, and I was like, this guy's quick. He's athletic. He's going to be really good in the slot. Like, they got Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas out there, and, like, he's going to be working the slot. He's going to be tough to handle. And he caught that first punt and didn't look real comfortable against Florida State, and then he just never did anything. Like, he was just a nothing burger. And so at that point, I'm going, okay, he's been in college a while now, and he's just not making much of an impact. That just may have been a recruiting evaluation missed by everybody. Wrong. He was great last year. His best stuff is within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, but he also stretched the field a little bit. And for him to get recognized at a celebrity position, right? Like, wide receiver is a celebrity position. You're going to have the superstars like Ryan Williams, and I talked about Cam Coleman a lot last week, like this past week. I think he's going to be great for Auburn if Jackson Arnold can function at all. But to put Aaron Anderson in there with Ryan Wingo of Texas, in front of Eric Singleton at Auburn, who was the number one transfer portal wide receiver, and then Kevin Coleman at Missouri. I mean, like that's great stuff for Aaron Anderson to be recognized in that ilk. As far as LSU goes on defense, Whit Weeks is a first team linebacker. He joins Anthony Hill, a former 5-star at Texas, and then CJ Allen, who's a heck of a player at Georgia. So Whit is in there at linebacker, and I think he's going to have a monster season. I was curious where they would put Perkins. They put him on the second team, and that feels right. Like, it feels like, yeah, second team, we know you're good. We know you got a lot of talent. Probably need to prove that you're the best in the conference, but you deserve some recognition. I think that's a little bit of a lifetime achievement award for him there, coming off of an injury, but you're hopeful that that's going to go really well. But that's it for LSU's defense. And to me, like, I'm well aware that the guys that are voting on this can't go down every depth chart of all 16 teams and do it, and they generally work off guys they're familiar with. But for LSU to have just 2 guys on the total defense of 3 teams made up, it's just further indication that what needed to happen in the offseason for this LSU team in terms of roster building is just to raise the floor. And I think you do that with Jack Pyburn. I think you do that with Tamarcus Cooley. I think you do that with A.J. Halsey. I think those guys may not be second-round draft picks. Like, I don't think they are. But are they really good SEC football players? I think they are. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, come up with just some really good college football players that weren't like top 2. Like Brandon Taylor comes to mind. I mean, he's a 3rd-round pick. He'd have been a pro for longer if he didn't get hurt. But just a damn good SEC football player out there. Somebody like Jalen Mills, just a damn good SEC football player out there.
How you feel about Arden Key?
Arden Key set the LSU sack record.
Yeah,
so
he didn't go high in the draft
because he got fat and lazy.
Oh.
If he'd have done what he did his second year, his third year, he'd have been a 1st-round pick. But
I just remember him being like you said, super good at LSU, and then just fizzling out.
Guys, Spencer Ware, think of a receiver that was just solid as a rock, that wasn't just a star at the next level. There are guys like that you could go on and on about.
Not Derek Dillon. It's one of those guys.
Yeah, Derek Dillon. I'm looking one notch up from that. But I think that's what you're getting here. Like, I would rather LSU litter the first and second team like they did in 2019. That's better, but I don't think you've done that with this team, is the point that I'm making. And I don't think that there's a snub here on the defense for LSU. But if you just got 11 guys that are damn good, as opposed to 4 guys that are going to be at the next NFL draft walking across the stage, you can field a good enough defense to go out there and win a lot of games. Like, I would rather it look like Georgia's defense from 3 years ago. That would be my preference, but that's not in the cards right now. You got Weeks, who's a heck of a player. You got Perkins, who is probably not going to be a huge draft pick because he's not big enough, but can be a high-end college football player that can win some awards. But then you've got, and I rattled off those names of guys that they've been good. They're 23 years old, 22 years old. That's the model for this LSU team to be the best that it can be. If you instead of superstars, let's just go with no holes. Maybe DJ Pickett turns into a star. Maybe Patrick Payton, who I mentioned on yesterday's show, maybe he does get 13 sacks and he's first team all league. Like, that's Patrick Payton could go in the second round of the draft, absolutely, no doubt. I don't think Jack Pyburn has that ceiling. I don't think Tamarcus Cooley has that ceiling. They've got physical limitations. But Patrick Payton doesn't. He's got every physical tool you could possibly want. And maybe he is a guy that could find his way on a postseason list of this sort. Maybe Ahmad Breaux or Dominic McKinley can do that. Maybe Gabe Relaford is that guy. Maybe Deshaun Spears. That's a guy we talked about off the air in the hotel. We're like talking about guys that we were having a discussion about who have we not talked about this week. Who should we have brought up that we haven't. And Deshaun Spears' name came up. It's like, okay, that's a guy who they gave him a little bit of time at the beginning of last year, and it didn't go great. And then they're like, we're just going to go with Sage Ryan and Jordan Gilbert, and we're just going to play the old guys, and we'll figure it out from there. Well, he's got all the physical tools. He could be a dude. And there are some candidates there that aren't going to be on preseason teams, but for LSU to do the things we're talking about, which is compete for the SC championship, compete for the college football playoff, you're going to have more than just these two guys on defense. Everybody's got to rise their level, and you've got to be strong and steady. And that's, I think, the model for this LSU team. You're not going to have 5 first-rounders like the 2006 draft. But can you be really good at every spot and just be solid? I think that's what LSU's kind of looking for on the defensive side of the ball, and even in some cases, the offensive side of the ball in 2025. All right, we just got one segment to go here. We'll take a timeout, come back, and close things up. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Captives, not something I've talked to you about this week to this point, but we need to. I think it's the future of insurance. The folks at the Highland Insurance Group think it's the future of insurance. Kind of is the present in insurance as well. If you are a business owner and you've not discussed a captive with your insurance broker, you need to have that discussion. And Jonathan Carbo and his team are happy to have that with you. Your insurance broker should be a trusted part of your team, like your attorney, like your CPA, somebody that's involved in what you do, making sure that your company is in the best position moving forward. And so if a captive is something that's going to help your bottom line drastically in terms of your insurance cost, why would you not talk about it? Call Jonathan Carbo, check him out online at HighlandIG.com. Say, hey, I need to have a conversation with you about captives. We haven't looked into it. And he'll tell you if you're a fit and whether or not they can make that happen for you. If they can, they're happy to. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
We're about wrapping things up. Big day at daycare for the Myers man today. I just got a picture sent across the wire. Mike the Tiger came to daycare. Big deal. It was LSU day. My guy wanted to wear his jersey. He was fired up to see Mike, and I just got a picture. He seems pretty fired up. We don't have Mike the Tiger come here.
Well,
another boring day at Guarantee.
I can't even say that because we didn't have sliders. We didn't have donuts. It's been, I'm about to say, I've been sitting here just fighting the meat sweats.
Foodie Friday
I'm about to say, I can't
just
even.
a boondoggle for the rest of the staff. Brain does all the work, books the guests, goes ahead and does the segment, and then just the vultures come flying down, just eating stuff.
Brian, he's
coming from a guy that ate 3 sliders this morning. What are you going to say?
I might have knocked 5 of those bad boys out, bro. I'm not even going to lie. It was just so many.
Who brought the donuts?
I thought it was Cassie, so it was actually Taylor, because Cassie usually does that. She usually brings like little sweets and whatnot. So when I seen her this morning, I was like, oh man, shout out Cassie. I'm like, thank you for the donuts. She's like, oh no, Taylor wouldn't got those. So shout out Taylor. Hey, when Taylor comes through, that's to say the least. Taylor always comes through when you need him the most.
And then Cassie and Alondra got Chick-fil-A sent to the radio station at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I had donuts and Chick-fil-A this morning.
Yeah.
This place. Summer, it's lawless. We're gone for 4 days. There's no rules to this place. It's just a calorie contest around here.
I'm fighting it right now.
All right. Speaking of that, Corks is a great place to go get lunch or a late dinner. They bring our Friday shows each and every week. If you have not tried Corks yet, get on over there and check them out. Their recipe for fried seafood. Born right here in the seafood capital of the world, Louisiana. So it's Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp, corksfishandshrimp.com. We got any take it or leave it?
Yes, we do.
Do it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Let me go. We got a sponsor for it now, so
okay.
I got to talk about the sponsor.
Hey, what you got to do? Yeah.
Yingling, Flight by Yingling. We're going to the pool tomorrow because I've got the nieces in town with the Myers man, so we'll be headed out to the pool, and in the old ice chest there will be Flight by Yingling. You can guarantee it's perfect summer beer, cold, refreshing, and it is light in calories, heavy on flavor. Talking about 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Perfect summer beer. It's Flight by Yingling.
So I guess you'll take that.
I will
All right?
take Yingling for
So
sure.
it started off, Bradley Beal has agreed to a buyout with the Phoenix Suns. Oh, trust me, just wait for this. Which will result in him giving up roughly about $13.9 million over the life of his contract. That's cool and all that. With around $110 million left on his deal. That means Phoenix would agree to pay him $96.9 million over the next 5 years to go away, to simply get out the building. Generational wealth to go away. Would you take that or leave it?
I would take that. I would go away right now
Yeah.
if somebody cut me a check for $95 million.
Oh, my clothes will still be here. That's
I'd
how
be
fast
gone.
I move.
I'd be out of there. The NBA is so fascinating with the roster building, the moving of the poker chips, the chess pieces, the money. It is just every year it feels like somebody signs and they go, wait, who's the highest paid player in the history of the league this year? And like somebody pops up with some astronomical contract. And I'm like, that's just, I guess, what the market dictates for the NBA. They make a lot of money there in the National Basketball Association. And then, generally speaking, go, can I go somewhere else? I don't really like it here.
I want to get out of here, man. I'm not satisfied. So to answer your question, who's making the most this season? That would be Jason Tatum at an estimated value of $313 million.
That's a pretty good deal.
That's pretty crazy. So
He won a ring, so you give him that.
oh yeah, you got to take care of your guys. Got to take it. What the Saints should do. They should follow suit. So fans will get an in-depth look at Bill Belichick's return to coaching on North Carolina in a new docuseries. Hulu will release this series. Keep in mind, Belichick and his girlfriend Jordan turned down to be featured on a college football version of Hard Knocks earlier this year. Will Bill Belichick keep his word this time around? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I don't believe he's going to do anything in the media. That's just my take on it all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe he's turned over a new leaf. He did some media when he stepped out of coaching. I can't figure out what's going on in Chapel Hill. I have no idea.
I want to see, though. I want to see what's going on. Like, game one, meaning like
I'll check it out.
I'll
I'll check it out, but it feels like it's probably going to be a big nothing burger, and they're probably just going to go 7-5 a lot because that's just kind of what North Carolina is.
I'm about to say, and the ACC, I don't really see North Carolina becoming a top dog out the ACC.
If they got the right coach, they did, and they didn't hire a coach that was 75 years old and in the news, the tabloids every week. Maybe do something a little different. Mac Brown was 100 years old when they hired him.
Which is crazy for Bill Belichick to be in the tabloids and to be,
It's quite the turn of events.
Crazy. So,
We're
no,
on to
that's all we have for
Cleveland.
Take It or Leave It today.
All right, that's
gotta
it
talk
for
about
Take
Bradley
It
Beal's money.
or Leave It. Yeah, Bradley Beal getting that cash. All right, man, what a week. What a great week. So much fun in Atlanta. It's just action-packed. It's constantly moving, and that's the joy of it. Appreciate Guarantee for letting us go, and I hope that y'all all enjoy the content we were able to give you morning, afternoon, and evening from out there at SEC Football Media Days. We had a long conversation on Wednesday night about where it could go next. It sounds like, not that y'all care because you're not there. The content's all the same no matter if you're there or not, but it sounds like Orlando is very much in the mix. Sounds like New Orleans is very much in the mix. Houston as well. And Nashville has been mentioned. I don't think they're going to go right back to Dallas after last year. And it sounds like the days in Hoover are done. Maybe the event's kind of outgrown it to an extent. So it's a great event, I think, because of where it falls in the calendar. There's not just a lot going on right now. The College World Series is gone. MLB Draft is gone. You don't have camp for another 3 weeks. Like, either that or we start talking about list season or Mount Rushmores and stuff over here. So I had a great time this week. It was a thrill for me to go back for the first time in 12 years, and hopefully we'll be back next year. That's certainly the plan at this point. So back in action here on this Friday, and we'll back to a normal week next week for me. So looking forward to that. If you missed today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Open the show today with the news that Dan Bournet, the longtime, nearly 40-year run as the public address announcer in Tiger Stadium and Pete Maravich Assembly Center, he has decided to walk away from the microphone. He's going to give that opportunity to somebody else moving forward. So a lot of childhood memories and obviously early adulthood memories for me with Dan Bourne's voice in those two. And I kind of talked about that at the top of the show as it had just broken at that point. We talked to Preston Guy of TigerBait.com about LSU football. You can catch that Hunt on LSU wherever you find your sound, certainly on YouTube as well. I talked about Tyler Shuck and how they got to pay him. That was at 1:30. That'll be at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your sound, and on YouTube as well. I think it's ridiculous that he doesn't have a contract at this point, and we'll see if that changes over the course of the weekend. In the second hour, my predicted SEC football order of finish for 2025. Talked a little baseball draft signing with Chase Shores and Briggs McKenzie inking on the dotted line. And if you missed any of it, catch it wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, review. Wherever you find your sound, find us, Hunt Palmer Show, Hunt on Saints, and Hunt on LSU. That'll do it for me. Matt is going to drive you home.